Today is May 28th. Who was the young man who fled naked from the Garden of Gethsemane? Let's find out together as we study Mark 14:43 to 52. So yesterday, Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane with Peter, James, and John. He sees Judas coming with a group of soldiers. He says, let's get this over with. Verse 43, immediately, even as Jesus said this, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived with a crowd of men armed with swords and clubs. They'd been sent by the leading priests, the teachers of religious law, and the elders. The traitor, Judas, had given them a prearranged signal. You'll know which one to arrest when I greet him with a kiss. Then you can take him away under guard. As soon as they arrived, Judas walked up to Jesus. Rabbi, he exclaimed, and he gave him the kiss. Now, what Judas's betrayal was, he provided the religious leaders access to Jesus in private, not in public. They were afraid to arrest Jesus in public, afraid that the crowd might revolt and demand that Jesus be freed, bringing more followers to Jesus. Judas gave them the option of arresting him in private when no one but his intimate followers were around. But it was dark, so Judas prearranged a signal. He said, I will greet and kiss Jesus. That's how you know who he is in the dark. He comes and he does this, and Judas betrays Jesus with a kiss. Verse 46. Then the others grabbed Jesus and they arrested him. But one of the men with Jesus pulled out his sword and struck the high priest's slave, slashing off his ear. Jesus asked them, am I some dangerous revolutionary that you come with swords and clubs to arrest me? Why didn't you arrest me in the temple? I was there among you teaching every day. But these things are happening to fulfill what the scriptures say about me. Now, the book of John goes into more detail. Jesus heals the man whose ear has been severed. He actually names him, leading us to believe that he may have been known in the early church. He probably became a follower of Jesus after that. We also learn that it's Peter who did the dirty deed, who attacked this group and managed to cut off the ear of a slave. It wasn't much of an attack, was it? And then Jesus told them to put the sword away. That was done. That was over. Then we have this interesting paragraph. Then all his disciples deserted him and ran away. One young man following behind was clothed only in a long linen shirt. When the mob tried to grab him, he slipped out of his shirt and ran away naked. What in the world and who in the world was this? Everything that I'm about to tell you is a best guess. It's conjecture. Now, this paragraph only occurs in the Gospel of Mark. That leads many to believe that this was actually John Mark himself, the author of the Gospel, saying, I was there, but he doesn't name himself. He simply says, a young man was there. We find out later in the book of Acts, Acts chapter 12, that John Mark lived in Jerusalem. In fact, after Peter is arrested and miraculously delivered from prison, when Peter realized that he'd been delivered from prison, he went to the home of Mary, the mother of John Mark, where many were gathered for prayer. Now again, it's not stated, it's not defined exactly, But many believe that this is the house of the upper room. The early church met in the upper room. The owner of the house became followers and dedicated that upper room as the first church. They were gathered together in church praying for Peter. It happened to be where John Mark lived. If all that is true, what happened that night? Judas left the other 11 disciples and Jesus in the upper room. He brought the group of soldiers to arrest Jesus. Where did he go? He would have gone first to the upper room, the house where John Mark lived. John Mark heard the commotion of the soldiers coming to arrest Jesus, but Jesus and the 11 were gone. Where did they go? Where did they go? Judas thinks he's been going a lot to the Mount of Olives. So he says to the soldiers, let's try the Mount of Olives. So they take off. John Mark, seeing what's going on, thinks, what in the world is happening? And so he follows the soldiers at a distance, dressed only in his bedclothes. That's all he had time to put on. They find Jesus, they arrest Jesus, take him away. Then they see John Mark, think he's one of the disciples. They grab him. He sheds his shirt and runs away naked. Conjecture, but it may be true. Again, the price of following Jesus, even at a distance, cost John Mark his pajamas. Like, follow, and subscribe to this devotional on whatever platform you use to listen to it. Send your questions or comments to us at questions@becomehope.com. Sunday is the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. We will see you Sunday morning at 9:30 for a catered breakfast and a worship service.